Understanding the causes and the symptoms of anything can help us to have more knowledge and to feel more calm, especially when it comes to panic attacks. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the causes, but also we're going to go in depth in the symptoms of a panic attack. If you've ever experienced a panic attack or ever wondered what a panic attack is about, you don't want to miss this video. Hey friends, Ashley Berges back today. And in a previous video, we discussed panic attacks. What is a panic attack? In this particular video, we're going to be talking about the causes, as much as we know about the causes of panic attacks, as well as we're going to get a deeper dive in the symptoms of a panic attack. Because some of the symptoms that we mentioned in the previous video, by the way, the link to that video is in this description below. We just touched on some of the key symptoms, but we didn't really go in deep and in depth. So some of the symptoms on that previous video might not be listed in this video, and many of the symptoms in this video were not in the previous video. So let's continue the conversation. The first question that I want to answer in today's video is what causes panic attacks? Well, it's not completely clear what causes panic disorder or panic attacks, but some people are actually more biologically vulnerable to panic attacks, so it kind of runs in the family. And it may develop in the association of major life changes, such as the death of a loved one, the death of a spouse, getting married is one of those, having a children, finding out you're pregnant, finding out your spouse is pregnant, starting a job, losing a job, pretty much any of those major lifestyle stressors. So this can cause a panic attack. Like I said earlier, there's a tendency of this running in the family. So this could be something that unfortunately was passed down to you by mother, father, grandma, grandpa, as you understand. But also, some people that actually suffer from panic disorders are more likely to also suffer from other things like depression, even possibly attempting suicide, as well as the abuse and abuse of alcohol or drugs. And real quick, before I go into the deep dive on the symptoms of a panic attack, I want to say one thing. You know, many things can trigger a panic attack, right? Many things can trigger it. We can be in a situation that provides quite a bit of stress. We might have a lot of stress on us and multiple things are happening to us at the same time. You know, maybe we're dealing with stress at work. Maybe we're dealing with stress in our health, right? And on top of that, we have a major change going on. There's all kinds of things happening. So a panic attack can really happen kind of out of the middle of nowhere, but it's predicated based on stress, anxiety, even depression, feeling overwhelmed. So there's a lot of things that come into play here. And so I don't want to just limit it down to what I just said, but I want you to think about that. The more stress you're under and the less outlets you have to let go of that stress in a positive way, you know, this can cause that panic attack, as well as some of the emotions that we haven't dealt with. When we're not dealing with our emotions, we're trying to compartmentalize, we're trying to sweep things under the rug. Well, you know, that could be a panic attack waiting to happen, okay? So we have to get real with ourselves. We got to be able to unpack those emotions and work through some of the challenges and tough times. And definitely seeking a therapist for this to walk through some of these things that have happened in our past so that it doesn't hurt us later on is very effective. So let's dive in to discuss the deeper dive symptoms of a panic attack. Many of you are very familiar with and probably have your own copy of the DSM-5, where the DSM-5 defines panic attack as a discrete period of intense fear, distress, and nervousness or discomfort. And I'm going to list down these symptoms, and you have 4 or more of these following symptoms that develop abruptly and really quickly, and they reach a peak within about 10 minutes. So let's begin talking about those right now. Okay, the first one, which I think is the most profound one, the one that also scares us the most, right, and makes us have the most fear, is those palpitations, that pounding heart, and that really fast heart rate, okay? And that's one that really scares us, because anytime your heart is palpitating, you feel like your heart's going to jump out of your chest, it's not a good feeling, okay? So that's usually the first one that kind of starts, and it also kind of makes all the rest of the symptoms seem even more worse. So this is the very beginning. The second is the sweating. So normally you're going to have sweating. It might not be profuse sweating, but you might be sweating either beads of sweat or what have you. You know, you're feeling uncomfortable, that sort of thing. Another is trembling. So you might be trembling, your hands might be trembling, even your legs may be shaking as well. So that shaking and trembling is a big thing. And that's something that also scares us too. So while we're having those palpitations and we're having those sweats, we're also trembling. These are not good feelings, and they're all coming on in a very abrupt, very short period of time. Another symptom is the sensations of shortness of breath or feeling as though somebody's like sitting on you or smothering you. And that can feel like we have to breathe even heavier, right? It can feel like we're being labored breath. So it's definitely something that also creates fear. Another one that I actually have experienced myself, and this was a while back, but I had a mini panic attack where I was actually feeling like I was choking. And this is something that a lot of times we don't hear about. So a lot of times when you're feeling that palpitation and you're kind of having those experiences, sometimes we can actually feel like we're choking when we're not choking at all. It's just the feeling of having something lodged in your throat, like you can't get it down. It feels like something's stuck in there and you're trying to swallow, and all this stuff's going on while you're having these heart palpitations. So it's really unclear as to what happens first and what we have to really deal with first. And then the question comes in, am I really choking? And so that's something to really think about. That feeling of choking can just be another symptom of a panic attack. Obviously, chest pain or discomfort is going to come with this. Anytime you're feeling like the pounding heart, you're feeling that fast heart rate, you're going to feel that. So you're going to feel some chest pain, which is going to concern you because you're going to feel or wonder in your head, is this a heart attack? And real quick, we don't want to ever take a chance with a heart attack. So if you're feeling that it possibly could be a heart attack, you definitely need to call 911 or you need to get to the nearest emergency room, okay? But you're going to be feeling that chest pain and discomfort. Another thing is the nausea. The nausea, you can feel really almost like you're going to throw up. You're going to be sick. Also, some people experience abdominal distress. So that's something to think about as well. Obviously, not all of these at the same time. And some of these you're not going to feel either. But I just want to go through all of these symptoms so you understand what you're dealing with. The next one that you might incur is feeling dizzy, feeling unsteady, like you might feel unsteady to walk, unsteady putting one foot in front of the other. Maybe you feel really lightheaded. Maybe you even feel like you're going to faint, okay? And so definite, suggestion if you're feeling this is to sit down and try to kind of calm yourself down. I know that sometimes a cold compress can work too, or an ice pack kind of in the back of the neck can help too, and it can also alleviate kind of some of that stress, and it can take your mind from what's going on right here to the coolness right here, and it can kind of take a little bit of the stress out. Not all of it, but definitely it can kind of aid and abet a little bit. Another symptom is that you might even feel detached from yourself. Like it feels weird, like it's almost like it's an out-of-body experience. Or it's almost like, you're on top of yourself. And that can be a really odd feeling. And it can also add to kind of the stress level of the situation. So that's definitely something you might feel. Another symptom is that you have the fear of losing control. You might feel out of control. And you might think that you're kind of losing your mind because all of this comes up so quick. It's like it came out of the middle of nowhere, and you start questioning, is this really happening, and why is this happening? Another symptom is the fear of dying. I mean, I think many of us, when we're experiencing even just a few of these symptoms, worry as to the fact of why this is happening. Is this going to kill me? What's happening to me? And definitely when you're experiencing this really quick, overwhelming like that, the fear of death comes into our head. Another symptom is the numbness or tingling sensations. You can feel that in your arms, in your legs, even in your hands and feet. So something to think about. And the last symptom that I want to address is the chills and or the hot flashes or a combination of both. Definitely this adds to the fear factor because it's making us feel even more real that this is happening. And we're feeling like we're actually having a physical problem, right? Whether it's a heart situation, whether we're coming down with an illness or sick, whether we feel like we're choking. So there's a lot of things that are going on all at one time. And that's where we get the concept of hyperventilating, right? Putting a bag over your head. And you don't want to put a bag over your head, but that's where you get the idea of hyperventilating because there's all the stress, there's all this anxiety, your heart's like popping out of your chest, you're feeling dizzy, you're feeling nauseated. And so that's where a panic attack can be very scary if you're not understanding what it's all about. Now also anxiety attacks, panic attacks can actually take place while you're sleeping. Okay, so it actually can, and they're actually called nocturnal panic attacks. And it does affect many people. And so a panic attack is not just something that you suffer during the daytime, it can be something that you actually suffer while you're sleeping. And because nocturnal panic attacks happen at night while you're sleeping, this can be extremely overwhelming, okay? So think about you're sleeping and then all of a sudden you wake up gasping, you're feeling that frightened feeling, you're feeling that dread, and you're really not knowing what's going on, okay? So that sudden wake up out of sleep can cause a lot of problems, you know, and that's something that you want to think about too. If you're having panic attacks at night like that while you're sleeping, you're probably not getting very good sleep. You probably are experiencing some respiratory issues as well. But also another thing is that it can be very scary because it's not something that you're really even completely conscious of. And so that can be something that can take a while for a person to really kind of overcome that episode. Obviously, though, like most of these panic attacks, especially the nocturnal panic attacks, don't last more than about 10 minutes. But still, that 10 minutes can seem like several hours, right, when we're in a situation like that. So something to take into consideration. There's a lot of literature and documentation out there that you can read up more on nocturnal panic attacks. I didn't think that we wanted to go into that all during this video, but I did want to bring up the fact that that does exist. So if you have awakened in a panic and in a fear and a fright for no reason like that and having trouble and really breathing heavy and that sort of thing, it might not have necessarily been what we consider a nightmare. It could have been actually a panic attack, so something to think about. So I hope this video has helped you, because in order for us to understand panic attacks when we have one and to be able to calm ourselves and to self-soothe and to calm and to really kind of get back to normal, we have to take the bull by the horns in the sense that we have to know what we're dealing with. Because that's the most stressful part, is when we worry, is this something with my heart? Is this something with my organs? Is this something in my mind? You know, we start worrying about what's really happening, right? We don't know exactly why it's happening. And so because it comes out of left field, we have to have that knowledge, just like anything else, you know. Knowledge is power. So having this information, sharing this with your family and friends, especially maybe the relative, the friend, or the spouse that's suffering from this, so they can get a better handle, okay, on what they're dealing with. And then you can get a better handle on how to help them and how to calm them down and the things that need to be done that really do help them in the process. Because a lot of times when we're having a panic disorder, right, it's hard for us to vocalize how we're feeling. It's hard for us to vocalize calmly what needs to be done. And if there's somebody else in the situation that can help us and that knows what's happening, the situation can be diffused very quickly and with the least amount of fear and fright. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and please share the channel with your family and friends. If you like this video, give us a like, and in the comment section below, let us know, have you dealt with panic attacks? What are some things that you've done to basically calm down quickly, to self-soothe? Or better yet, what have you done to help other people when they're dealing with their panic attacks, to be able to get them to calm down quickly and be able to get them into a state of homeostasis quicker than not? Interested in your information? This is a community that learns from others, and so I want to continue that conversation. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to hearing your perspective, and don't forget to live your true life.